Welcome back to another in the series of the Fly on the Wall discussions by Simo Ray English Language Productions. I'm Ray, I'm the Ray part of the Simo Ray, and with me today I have Simo, the Simo part of Simo Ray. How you doing, Simo?
G'day Ray, how are you today?
I'm fine. Have a look here, folks. Here are some details of how you can contact us if you would like to know more about what we can do for you, because we are into a lot of English language solutions rather than just what we're doing here today. So let's move along a little bit. Today we're going to have another one of those rather controversial type discussions about a controversial subject, and that's how we like our discussions to be, because that's what they're for. They're to make people discuss and talk about things. So, oh, look at those flies, but oh, they're the flies on the wall, of course, aren't they? Yes, look at them moving around. Isn't that good? Just a reminder that presentations in this series are completely unrehearsed in order to give students an authentic experience of off-the-cuff discussion. That is, as if you were a fly on the wall listening to two foreigners talking about these matters. They're spontaneously spoken answers, just as we would expect if they were asked of our students. So if you're a student, you could expect us to ask you questions like this in the classroom. We would expect you to answer. So please listen very carefully. This is English as it is really spoken, warts and all. That means if there's mistakes, there's mistakes. We don't use probably correct pronunciation all the time, or we use grammatical structures which are probably a little bit suspect from time to time, but this is how English really is. This is not sanitized English read out of a textbook.
Yes, it's just natural speaking, Ray.
It's natural speaking, and this is how you will encounter it in a foreign country. People just do not speak the way that you read in textbooks. They just don't do that. Okay, so today our discussion is going to be on alternative medicine, or TCM, traditional Chinese medicine. Although it's often called Chinese medicine, it's not limited to China, and a lot of it did not actually come from China, but we have to give it a name. Yes. So let's just call it alternative medicine, but you'll often hear it referred to as Chinese, Oriental, or TCM. You may also hear Ayurveda, which is the Indian version of virtually the same thing. Okay, so you're going to ask me some questions about this because you want to know some answers, is that right?
Yes, well, we both use Chinese medicine ourselves, Ray, but you know a lot more about it. So in this segment, I'll just ask you the questions, and you can inform the people out there a bit more about alternative medicine.
Okay.
What springs to mind when you hear the term alternative medicine, Ray?
Oh, very rich thoughts, Simo. Very rich thoughts, because I was involved quite some time ago in alternative medicine practices. Not that I'm a doctor of medicine, but I have a lot to do with it. So a lot springs to mind. First of all, I get a little bit upset or disturbed about the application of medicine by people from the West. That's what alternative medicine puts in my mind, a disturbance about how medicine is practiced in the West at some times. It also makes me think generally about a prejudice against an older form of medicine, and that quite disturbs me, because a lot of people just will not look at the benefits of alternative medicine, or poo-poo it in some ways. However, that's up to them, you know. That's what springs to my mind, Simo.
What is alternative about alternative medicine, Ray?
Okay, let's just think about the history of medicine for starters. Medicine, the medicine practice goes back with alternative medicine. Recorded history goes back to about 5,000 years ago, when the Chinese Emperor Huangdi, he codified medicine. He got a whole lot of physicians together, and he asked them about how they could explain how medicine actually worked, how it was to be applied. and they codified it into a special book, and we won't go into that because I've read the book, not in its original language, but in English. And he and his friends codified a very, very simple system of working out how the body works, what the forces of nature are on it, and what intervention is necessary to do something about it. The alternative part of alternative medicine is that Western medicine, or the one that we normally go to the doctor for, we go to visit that doctor when we're sick, and he does something to make the pain or the discomfort go away. Alternative medicine can also make the discomfort go away. However, alternative medicine looks deeper, and it looks to why is this pain there? Why is this discomfort there? The word disease is made up of two different words. Dis meaning not, ease meaning comfort, not comfortable. So disease, a lot of people don't even think about that, but disease means not comfortable, not normal. So Huang Ti and his friends, he was the king at the time, or the emperor of China, he made a decree that doctors would be paid a salary from the state, while the people in their constituency remained well. The salary would remain intact. When somebody got sick, the doctor's salary would be cut. Therefore, it was well in the doctor's interest to visit the people in his constituency to make sure that they were exercising, that they were eating the right stuff, that they were eating food in the right combinations, because he maintained his salary. The minute they got sick, some of his salary was cut. When they got well again, his salary was restored. Instead, in the West, we go to the doctor and we pay him when we're already sick. So I guess that's a lot to do with it. Alternative medicine uses a lot of natural herbs, natural products to assist the body to get better when there's a problem. Also, Western medicine tends to look at the blood system, the circulatory system, and various systems which we can actually see, whereas alternative medicine tends to look at energy flow, or things that we cannot actually see with our own eyes, but we can feel.
Now, Ray, before we go any further, you mentioned that the Chinese medicines was created around about 5,000 years ago. What was the Europeans using 5,000 years ago?
I don't know. I think they were using bits of wood, painting their faces blue and bashing each other over the head and saying, ugh.
Maybe they used alcohol a lot as well.
Maybe. I really don't know, but until only a few hundred years ago, Western medicine was in a deplorable state. To balance our body, the physician would, when we're in a weakened state, would make a cut in our artery to make us bleed more. Well, of course, a lot of people died.
And that was to create fresh new blood?
No, because the patient usually lost blood quicker than he could create new blood. Of course, no. It was the thought that the blood circulated around the body was considered a heretical idea, even in the Middle Ages. But of course, the Chinese, the Orientals, knew about this a very, very long time ago. They'd observed the effects of certain plants and foods on the human body, and from cadavers they realized how the blood flowed, and all about how all the systems were all connected to each other, and what each one did and how it affected others.
Very interesting.
Yes, it is. It is. So their history has been long. We talk about it as Chinese medicine, but a lot of it came to China from India. And also some of it probably came from ancient Egypt, where the ancient Egyptians were performing very delicate operations like removing brain tumours, and that was well before the times of Dr. Casey.
Very interesting.
Yeah, okay, sorry about that. Yeah, okay.
Sorry to spring that question on. It's
No,
just
that's
that,
all right.
that you said that it's 5,000 years old with the Chinese. I was wondering, well, what were the Europeans using in that time?
Yeah, interesting. They of course they had a closed shop about anything from the Orient in those days, and it was the Dark Ages when they figured anything that was not European was to be closed out. Don't let those barbarians in, and their ideas are silly, you know.
What alternative medicine do you know about, Ray?
Oh, I know about quite a lot actually. Simo, we see some pictures here. There's one guy here. He is obviously applying acupuncture to one of his patients. It sure looks to me like he's fairly modern. He's wearing a tie. He's using probably stainless steel acupuncture needles, whereas in the older days they would have been made of bamboo, so probably a little bit more painful than they are now. There's an old guy here. We can see he's practicing Tai Chi, and behind him we see the Bao Hua, or the Yin Yang. You know, Chinese medicine is, or alternative medicine is all about balancing the body, bringing it back to harmony within itself. So the black and the white need to be exactly the same. And you see in every bit of black there is a little bit of white, and in every bit of white there is a little bit of black. So this balances everything in the body. So there's the Tai Chi, which is slow martial arts type movements, which when sped up do become martial arts.
Well, apparently when I was doing Tai Chi with my recovery for my broken spine, Ray,
Wow.
The instructor who had been doing it for about, he was a master in Tai Chi, he had been doing it for about 35 years.
Right.
And he said, in actual fact, Tai Chi is the #1 martial arts when it's done in fighting form. That was,
Yes,
that's
it's,
what
yes.
he informed me of.
Yes, because I've done karate too, and I always realised that Tai Chi was sped up for protection. It just, when we're doing it as Tai Chi, where we are putting stress on certain parts of the body, which is rebuilding and regenerating the muscles that go with it. What other types do I know? I know about quite a few things. For example, let's have a look at. We see here there's what we call a moxibustion kit, which is burning certain herbs, etc., to try to promote the healing, what shall we say, energy flow properties of acupuncture needles. It also brings certain toxins to the top of the skin, etc. There's acupuncture. There's also acupressure, which is similar to acupuncture but minus the needles. You just use the fingertips. So, you know, yes, I've tried a number of alternative medicines. Not only I've applied a number of alternative medicines to sick people, and I've also been the what you might call the victim or the patient.
See this photo here with the rings, with the
this one down
rings?
here, yes.
I actually had that done to me probably about a month ago, and the Vietnamese lady who did it to me told me that this is one way of exhuming heat from your body.
Yes, yes. It's you know, Chinese medicine or alternative medicine often works on the idea of heat exchange, taking the heat out of the body, or if it's too much yang, obviously putting heat into the body, because to make the body completely balanced. And this idea of cupping, what happens is, of course, it's called cupping because it was originally done with China porcelain cups. A flame is put inside a cup to burn out the oxygen, and then while the oxygen is not there, it is placed on the patient's skin, and this forms a suction. The suction then brings to the skin surface or through the pores, brings the toxins out. Or in the case of too much heat, it draws out the heat so that the air can then disperse it. There's also, of course, massage is also a very, very strong part of alternative medicines, and I actually learned how to do alternative medicine massage, and a lot of people who have experienced it tell me that they find it completely different to Swedish remedial massage. They say it's a little bit like going for a massage at a massage parlour, if you get my meaning, the real one, is a little bit like someone thumping them. But having Chinese medicine is like feeling people adjust the bones and the muscles in their body. And it's quite true, you need to have long, thin and strong fingers to be good at doing this massage, and you need to be able to feel right into the backbone, right into every joint in the backbone, in the shoulders, etc., to be able to feel where the muscles are knotted and to smooth them out. I am aware of a Chinese doctor I know very well in Australia who actually taught me, who told me the story about a man who worked on the Electricity Commission in Mongolia, and he got frostbite. He went to the hospital in Beijing and they said they were going to have to amputate his arm. He said he wanted to try alternative medicine. He went to see my friend who said, it's going to take a while, I can massage this every day and we might save your arm. It took 4 months, they saved his arm.
Incredible.
Yeah, when the Western doctors, or using Western style, said we cut it out. You know, there's alternative medicine practitioners have a saying that Western doctors say, if in doubt, cut it out.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, if we get a cancer, for example, I'm not suggesting that if it's advanced we shouldn't cut it out, but if there is a possibility that it could be reversed without that drastic measure, why not take it? Because in a lot of cases it does work. My own brother, for example, who practices alternative medicine, has seen many cases which were considered hopeless by Western doctors, and where he has seen it reversed. This doesn't mean it will work in every case, of course it won't.
Not in every case.
No, he has seen cases where it didn't work, of course.
Well, you take me for example, Ray. When I had a broken back, a broken neck, the Western medicine was all drugs, all tablets.
Yes, yeah, mostly to relieve the pain, more than to regenerate the body. Yeah.
With regards to me, every second day for 6 years, I would be massaged in a special way, mostly acupuncture, acupressure, Ray.
Yeah.
And while all these different people were giving me this medical massaging, they were saying that it also helps to when you're massaging your muscles, it helps to remove the old bad blood and get fresh blood with fresh oxygen to that muscles.
Well, I mean, when you're incapacitated, massage does the same thing as what your lymphatic system does, which you know, when you're walking around, your lymph nodes are going to do that. But when you can't move around very much, you need something to stimulate it, and that's what massage is all about.
Do you think alternative medicine works, Ray?
I think it's got such a long history of working that it's very difficult to say that it doesn't. There are some forms of it which might be a little bit suspicious in a Western situation, but there's a very long history of people actually finding that it does work. It's not it's not what we might call an interventionist medicine practice like it is in the West. We use a drug to in the West we use a drug to what shall we say, stimulate the body, or to mask the pain while our body regenerates. Alternative medicine doesn't usually concern too much about masking the pain. It's more concerned about how to regenerate the body, or the part that's not working very well, or to how to what shall we say, kick-start it again. That doesn't mean, of course, that if you've got a headache you need to suffer with it. You should be, of course, doing whatever it does to make you comfortable. So don't shy off taking an aspirin, but think, why do I have this headache and what can I do about it? If you have a look at this little diagram,
I was just about to say, could you explain to me what this diagram is all about?
Okay. In Chinese, this diagram is called Wu Xing. Wu means 5 and Xing means elements. You can see here the 5 elements are wood, fire, earth, metal and water. they make up everything in the universe, right? So if you see, if you have some, there are various parts of the body which are labeled as belonging to one of these 5 elements. For example, if you had something wrong with your liver, which is classed as being in the wood category, you can see from this diagram that to directly stimulate it, you would have to introduce something from the metal, and that would stimulate it directly. And you see how these circles go around and around and around. They represent regeneration. Our body cells, they die, and they are replaced with new ones. The perfect situation is that when they are replaced, they will be replaced with stronger ones than just died. However, because we age, that doesn't really happen. But we need to try to, each time they are replaced, they will be a little weaker than the one before. But if we can make the replacing one as healthy as possible, therefore this regeneration thing will work very well. The theory is, of course, that if we were able to eat very pure food, instead of getting older, we would probably get younger. This was the secret of the ancients. We often hear in some of the older texts how, even in the Christian Bible, about how some of these people from the olden days lived for 200, 300, and 400 years.
Amazing.
Now, whether that's just a myth or whether they tapped into the secret of actual body regeneration by using alternative medicine, we'll never know, because we can't talk to them, because they're gone a long time ago. However, theoretically, there is no reason why, if we ate the right things and looked after our body correctly, why we wouldn't grow younger instead of older. It doesn't mean we'll get smaller and turn back into a child, but our cells will be replaced with stronger cells. And in fact, there are certain types of food available within the alternative medicine regime that do aim at doing that. They work together by putting the whole 5 elements together in a synergistic way, which aims, directly at any one of the 5 elements in our body, and constantly regenerates them as best it can. Now, you notice I didn't say the words medicine very much. I used the words food. All alternative medicines which are ingested are food. They are not chemicals, they are not medicines, they are food. Food is medicine to the alternative medicine practitioner.
And is it mostly in plant form?
Not always. It can be in animal product form.
Okay.
But plants are where most of it comes from. And in fact, there's a guy in Taiwan. His name is Dr. Chen, and he has developed a food system which does actually regenerate the body cells. He's been held down in the West as a witch, a heretic, because obviously the Western drug companies are going to make a lot more money from a person dying from cancer than they are from somebody who gets well. Right? The average cancer patient lasts 5 years on chemotherapy before he dies, but he spends approximately $70,000 on those medicines as he dies. People who are able to assist human beings to regenerate the body and actually regrow the cancer cells in the proper way, instead of in the way where the body decided to go crazy, those people are a threat to that money.
What kind of people use alternative medicines, Ray?
Oh, all sorts. You see here, there's this picture here of all these people. There's young people, there's old people, there's black people. I'm not saying that all of those people from this commercially available picture use alternative medicine, but just to give the idea that it's not only hippies or Oriental people who use alternative medicine. A lot of people are starting to feel the benefits. I think they feel that with a long history of success, alternative medicine is certainly worth trying. You know, because alternative medicines generally work on regenerating the body or nothing but food, there's not much danger. There are some herbal products which have been put together in a commercial way that might be harmful. You have to be careful. For example, I suppose a lot of people are not aware that eating too many bananas can kill you.
Potassium.
Yeah, potassium poisoning. And there are certain foods which, if you put them together, are dangerous for your body instead of helpful, whereas alternative medicine works in putting foods together that will always regenerate your body. I am fortunate in having a Vietnamese wife. When she cooks, she is well aware that food is medicine, and every day she ensures that our family eat from each of the 5 elements. If we miss one today, she will make sure that it's in the meals tomorrow, so that it keeps us healthy and on our toes, I guess.
Do you think alternative medicines works better than modern drugs, Western drugs?
Very debatable. It depends what sort of result you're looking for. If you're looking to kill the bug, Western medicine will do that very quickly. Sometimes that's very necessary. Antibiotics, etc., are going to kill the bug that is causing you the problem, and it's worthwhile using this as an intervention. But once it's gone, you have to think, well, whilst it killed the bug, it probably killed a lot of other things too, which I really need. So it's a good idea to think of a longer term treatment after that to regenerate the body back to normal. I wouldn't say that one works better than another. It depends on what you're looking for. If you're already healthy, alternative medicine is a very, very good way to go, because it's going to keep you that way.
So are you saying that alternative medicines help maintain your health and,
yes.
keep your immunity system in a good condition so it can fight these bad bacteria?
That's exactly right. If we've got a healthy immune system, it will ward off a lot of the problems that we get. However, if you're unlucky and you do get it, you do get some bad thing, there's no need to suffer, because we have both available. Most certainly use the drug to chase it away, or to put yourself back into some area of comfort. I can't imagine somebody who has, for example, broken his back like you did in an accident. We can't expect somebody in that situation to not have some painkillers, because it's just going to be very difficult to put up with. Of course, in the olden days, they probably didn't have the quick fix drugs, and people in that situation probably did suffer quite a lot, even though they were using alternative medicines. So, do they work better? Yes and no. It depends on the result that you're looking for.
Well, in my own case, when I had the broken spine, a lot of doctors advised me against alternative medicines like acupressure massaging and acupuncture. But
that's strange, isn't it?
I decided that I wanted to give it a try, because I believe it could assist. And when you're in the pain that I was in, and I want to get up and working and earning money as quickly as possible, I was willing to try anything. But I had some belief in particularly the alternative medicine a lot more than the Western medicine. To me, the Western medicine was just painkiller. And nothing else, where the alternative medicine was in massaging. Like I said, every second day I went through a period of acupressure massaging, very painful, very, very painful type of massaging when done correctly and professionally, and that was the thing that got me up and about again, Ray.
You're trying to escape this masseur, right?
I was known as a fairly strong person, and for the first 3 weeks of this 6-week program, I would be crying and begging the man to stop.
Right.
But the acupressure part was 3 minutes on each sort of problem. The first 2 minutes 20 seconds was intolerable pain, but then for the last 40 seconds I had very little pain, and this was a 6-week program. You do it for 6 weeks and you have 6 weeks without it, just normal massage, and then you do another 6 weeks. Very expensive, but it is the reason why I walk today, I believe, Ray. Do you trust alternative medicines, Ray?
Yes, I do, pretty much, because I think there's nothing to not trust. Because mostly what's ingested is nothing more than food, just put together in the right way. As far as acupuncture and acupressure, when it's done by somebody who knows what they're doing, they know where the points in the body are, where the medians meet, so they can regenerate that. One of the things that a lot of people can try, if you have a headache and you take your left hand and you put your right thumb up to the first knuckle on it, I'll show you what we're doing here, and you press on that point, you will feel an electric shock.
It's quite painful too sometimes.
Sometimes it's painful. When you find the right thing, whoa, that is a meridian, that is a median point where the chi, or the flow of energy, is going. Now, if you massage that for a couple of seconds with your thumb, it goes to your head. And it starts to move the energy that's being stored in your head, causing the headache. It gets it to move along. There are other points, of course, in places like your leg and then your back. A good alternative medicine practitioner knows where these are. He knows how to stimulate them. So that's why if you sometimes go to a medical practitioner who does alternative medicine, you might say, I've got a pain in my leg, and he'll start playing around with your neck. And you wonder why he's doing that, but it does, that they are all connected. An interesting point too, by the way, Peter, you probably noticed it in Australia, that a lot of the Western practitioners now of medicine are being forced to take alternative medicine, particularly acupoints, into account in their treatment, and so a lot of their patients now ask for alternative medicine, and I know a number of my friends who are medical practitioners. They will ask the patient, do you want to be treated with drugs or do you want to be treated by acupuncture?
Well, funny you should say that, Ray, because one of my doctors in Australia, when I had my broken back, I started visiting her probably after the 3rd year. She was from Bosnia.
Right.
And she believed in alternative medicines as well as Western medicines, but she was the one that got me onto this acupressure massaging.
Right.
And she got it. I went and met the guy. Then we went through the government with regards to the workers' compensation, and they actually paid for this treatment. Very expensive treatment. It was $105 a session.
Right.
Now the government paid for that, so she had faith in the alternative medicine.
Right.
But she still used the Western medicine as well. But she was more towards the alternative medicine with my particular case.
Okay. All right.
Do you think alternative medicines are tried and tested and safe?
They're tried, man. I think primarily they're safe. Tested. That means, do they get the little tick of approval from the drug authority? Usually not.
Why do you think so little is known about the health benefits of alternative medicine, Ray? Now, like you said in the beginning of this segment, it's around about 5,000 years old.
Right. Well, you see the bird here. He's got his head in the sand.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to know about anything that challenges his safety or security. I think this is probably why. It's this strange thing from a strange place, so it can't be good.
Do you think it could be involve the pharmaceutical companies not wanting this sometimes medicine to be put on the market?
I think that's probably got an influence on it.
What is your opinion of traditional Chinese medicine and its use of the bones of endangered animals such as tigers or bile extracted from live bears?
I think this is a very negative aspect of alternative medicine, unfortunately, because the tiger is an endangered species. I think originally, his bones were ground up from tigers who were found dead, which is not necessarily a problem. But now I know that there are certain animals which are hunted for their medicinal purposes, like the rhinoceros, for example. The bile that comes from the bear, there is an unfortunate aspect about this in that it works. That's the problem. It really does work quite well. It works very quickly. But by the same, whilst I say it works, I think there surely could be a synthetic made that would approximate it rather well, rather than putting these animals through a life of misery just so they can produce a medicine. So this is one aspect of traditional Chinese medicine that I do not like. However, Orientals do not seem to have the same respect for animal life as the Westerners do. So I guess it's understandable that they would just use these animals.
Now, Ray, would you include shark cartilage or shark fin with regards to cartilage damage and joints when people are getting older? Because some of the sharks could be put on the endangered list too.
Well, I believe using shark cartilage for repairing cartilage is fine, but the idea of eating shark fin soup really upsets me because of the way I know the sharks are treated. Their fins are cut off and they're put back in the water, and they just can't survive.
Which countries in the world have the best medicines, do you think, Ray?
Oh, it's very difficult to say. I say drug-wise, probably France has got really good stuff. In traditional-wise, China and India have probably got the best. Strangely enough, Russia seems to have a very good mix of both. And Russian people tend to rely on traditional medicine quite a lot. So it's hard to know.
Well, the two countries I automatically think of when you're talking about Asian medicine is China and India. Do you think we can find all the medicines we need from the natural world instead of making drugs?
Yes, I do. I believe everything is supplied by Mother Nature. Even our drugs do originally come from Mother Nature, and of course we've made synthetics of some of them, but out in the natural world there is a cure for everything. We just haven't found it, or let's say that the find has not been published
or released.
Yes. For example, I think a lot of people already realise that the fruit, the soursop, will cure cancer. Not in every case, but in a lot of cases, depend how advanced it is.
Is there proof of that, Ray?
That's the unfortunate part about alternative medicine. We have a lot of anecdotal evidence, but we don't have a lot of clinical evidence, which is what scientists want to see, right, before they will give things the tick. Also, papaya leaves have been making a tea out of papaya leaves, I believe, to be a very strong anti-cancerous tea. So there's a lot of things out there that are still waiting to be discovered, or at least published. Okay, vocabulary for today. We've had quite a long session here today because it's been a very interesting situation.
This is an interesting topic, I find, Ray.
I think all of our topics are interesting.
Yeah, but this one in particular, because we're talking about a medicine that's 5,000 years old. We're talking about the disagreement between the West and the Eastern countries with regards to the use of alternative medicines. So it is a fairly good controversial topic to talk about.
Yes, we haven't covered anywhere near as much as we could, but you know.
Oh, we could go for hours speaking about this topic.
No, we won't do that. No. Alternative, we used alternative today as an adjective, and it can be a noun. It just simply means different. And our next magic word today is
the 5 elements. The 5 elements is classed as a noun. The 5 things of which everything in the universe is made. Wanjing in Chinese.
Wuxing.
Sorry, Wuxing.
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 Yeah.
Sorry, folks.
I'll give you some lessons on Chinese. 呢個何說中華嘛 Acupuncture. This can be used as a verb. We can acupuncture a patient, or it's usually used as a noun. It refers to the system of inserting needles into certain points on the body to stimulate the flow of qi or life force or energy through well-mapped medians where the energy flows through the body.
Acupressure. Acupressure is a noun, similar to acupuncture, but uses pressure instead of needles.
Right, yes, so there's no insertion into there's no puncturing of the skin. Actually, in acupuncture, there's no puncturing of the skin. It goes into the pores, not into it doesn't go into the skin. Tai Chi, now this is a noun. It's a system of slow exercise following martial arts patterns aimed at strengthening the muscles and also the lymphatic system, of course, and the mind. Moxibustion is a noun. It's the burning of herbal combinations to encourage acupuncture needles to act in a more concentrated way.
I've used moxibustion stuff before.
Yes, yes.
Massage. Ray, massage is a verb and a noun. It means applying pressure to muscles in a way that releases tension.
Yes, it can also align bones if they're out of alignment, but that's a bit painful.
Cupping. Cupping can be a noun and a verb, and cupping is pulling the blood to the skin surface by vacuum, usually caused by burning air out of a cup and then placing it on the patient's skin.
Yeah, that's right. We often see in Vietnam people with these huge bruises after they've been to a session of cupping. It looks awful, but it actually does work. Would you like to try? Would you like to try acupuncture? We've tried that before. There we are. So thank you. We're actually at the end. So other discussions in this series, you can see them here. There's quite a lot, and we're not going to bore you with all that right now. So here are the details of how to contact us again. So please take note of them if you would like. We are not only into English language productions, we're also into English language solutions. So if you have a school or that requires some solutions, such as putting a live foreign teacher into your classroom via the internet, please let us know. Or if you would like face-to-face lessons via Skype anywhere in the world, let us know. Contact us at these addresses. Just to remind you that our programs on the Fly on the Wall series are all unrehearsed, spontaneous reaction. Thank you very much for your time today, folks. Look, there's that fly on the wall again. Isn't that wonderful? I really like the way they move. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.